Well, everybody, Christmas is here, and as you can expect, every YouTuber in woodworking is doing tool videos, so I figured, why not do the same thing? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my 10 favorite recommendations, all that cost less than $100. So I'm specifically keeping out super crazy expensive stuff because those videos are coming. Don't you worry about that. So we'll go ahead and get started with the very first thing, and that is one of these Wera Tool Check Plus kits. Now, I have both a metric and imperial, and I will just tell everybody up front, don't buy both. There's really not a reason to. I'm kind of a psychopath when it comes to that, but the reason why I say don't buy both, there's not really a need to, is because the only thing that's different is the sockets. So I could have just bought the sockets individually instead of having two sets, but now I have one that I can use in the shop and one that I can keep somewhere else, and really if I wanted to, I would just take the sockets off and leave them. The reason why I think that these are so beneficial is because it's packed full of pretty much every bit that you would need for most projects. It comes with a screwdriver handle to accept all the different bits, and then it comes with a Centrotech style bit that can connect to all of the different things to include the sockets. So there's all the attachments, but the reason why I think that this is such a great handy thing to have is because I actually end up using this way more than I anticipated I would, but there have been so many instances where just having something small to get into a tight space is exactly what I needed, or this is just enough for whatever job that I'm doing. This is especially helpful when you're dialing in and setting up tooling. And that is actually why I ended up buying this, because I was going through a lot of setup and dialing in of my sliding table saw, and when I went to Felder, this is actually the set that a couple of the technicians and mechanics were actually using. And that was the first time that I saw it, so I bought that one. And then when I was at Hartville Tool recently, I ended up getting the Imperial set, which, like I said, was kind of a waste of money. But it's nice to know that I have both now. But anyways, great item. This would be an awesome stocking stuffer. This would be just a great thing to just have in your toolbox. And this comes in under $100. I believe it's somewhere around $79, I think, on Amazon, which is about what I paid for it when it was on sale at Hartville. Item number 2, something I've talked about before. This is a Bosch Blaze. This is actually an older model. I think I need to upgrade and get the new one because my son broke this one, and I always have to tape the backing shut. But essentially what this is a laser range finder, a laser distance measurer, laser measuring device. And you can store all kinds of different measurements, so if you're going around and doing baseboards or trim, it's great. If you need to do internal measurements on something, and instead of trying to fuss with a tape measure and try to get it in that corner and get an exact measurement, I actually use this in woodworking. Not super often, but I definitely reach for it a lot in the house when I'm trying to figure out the distance of a wall for me to do my designs for built-ins or anything else. This is a great, easy way to get an exact reference. It's crazy accurate. I want to say, I don't know what the accuracy on it is, but it's probably something ridiculous, like 1/64 of an inch over something really long. But Bosch Blaze, again, comes in at under $100. They do have a newer version. I'll be sure to link that down below. But I think you would find this super useful, and it can fit just about in any tool belt, tool pouch, tool box, your pocket, whatever. Now, the next two things are both router bits. And I get asked a lot, like, hey, which router bits do you use most often? Which ones would you recommend? And I would say that there's two that I use for 90% of the things that I need to do. One of those being a Roundover, and the other one being a flush trim bit. Now, all the bits that I use are from BitsBits. This one right here in particular is their new Astra HP coating, and then this one right here is just a standard white sides with their standard coating. I'm sure by now everybody's heard of BitsBits, but this is a 16th inch Roundover, and this right here is a 1/2 inch flush trim with a 1/4 inch shank. The particular model number on this is 435CM500FT. This has a 1-inch cut capacity, but the reason why I like this is because for 90% of the work that I do, I would probably even venture to say 95%, unless I'm using a router table, I'm using a cordless trim router, more specifically This trim router, which I would have put on this list, however, it is not under $100. I will be doing a video that talks about this versus the Makita, and don't make the same mistake that I did. But this is just such a great flush trim bit, and there are so many times where I need a flush trim bit, and this is a spiral compression bit, so this gives like the best cut quality. It is just absolutely phenomenal. It's a great bit, and it handles just about everything that I need, because I usually am flush trimming something that's either 3/4 of an inch or less, so this fits the bill. It also has a bearing at the top and a bearing at the bottom, so it gives you a little bit of flexibility. This would definitely be one. I'm putting this in the list because as of right now on the website, it is $99.99. It is currently on sale. You can also use Bent's 10. It'll save you 10%. I don't know if it'll save you 10% on the sale price, but I know it will save you 10%. Great bit. Now this one I'll actually pull out so I can also give you the model number on it. This is a 1978. Like I said, it's the 16th inch roundover, and it has the tiny little pilot bearing. Now, the reason why this one, I've used an 1/8 inch for a long time. I wanted something a little bit more subtle. So I hate the sharp lines that are created off, cutting off the table saw. So anytime I'm doing any finished piece of furniture or whatever project it is, I'm always going back and giving it a very small roundover. So in most cases, on the 1/8 inch roundover bit, I wasn't taking a full depth cut because I just wanted to break that sharp edge. I don't like feeling a super sharp edge. This is perfect. And what's better about this one versus the other one that I've been using is that it has that small pilot bit, which means you're able to get it into corners really, really tight, and there's barely any cleanup, if any, really, that you need to do, depending on the look that you're trying to achieve. So 1/8 inch roundover bit. I'm not somebody anymore. I feel like when I first started woodworking, I was really into trying to get every different kind of profile because I thought that's what furniture needed. And then I quickly realized that a small chamfer, a small roundover, that's kind of all that I ever use at this point, and I probably go towards the roundover a little bit more than I do the chamfer. So this is so subtle, it just gives those really nice clean lines. So 1978 white sides, this has their Astra coating, this has their Astra HP coating. I've been using BitsBits for years. They're great. I recommend them. Definitely try them out. Now, the next item is an item from TSO Products. You know that I'm a big fan of TSO Product stuff, but this is something that I actually grabbed for quite a bit this year. This is the Big Foot. This is specific to people that own the Festool Domino, whether it's the Domino 700 or the DF 500. This will work on both of them without any modifications. But basically what this is it's just a stable base to replace the one that comes with Festool. Now, if you're not familiar, the reason this is used is because sometimes you have to make vertical plunges, and they come with this attachment right here, which is just a small plastic attachment which doesn't have a lot of surface area. So this is a aluminum bracket that replaces this, gives you a lot more surface area, and gives you a handle to hold. Now, to put this on, it's super easy. There's just 2 screws. You just place it on a nice flat surface so you have the same reference point, screw these in, and now you have a nice stable surface in order to make your vertical plunges. However, it's not just for vertical plunges. You could actually also utilize this on thinner materials. So if I put the fence down, let's say I was doing some plywood and I was trying to go into the side of the material, this now gives you a lot more surface area on that plywood to help you balance so you're not teetering back and forth. So there are a couple of different use cases for it. It comes in at under $100, and if you have a Domino, it's really a very, very nice addition to add. And matter of fact, if you're getting a Domino, I would suggest just looking at one of these right off the bat, because when you need it, it comes in really handy. Now, the next item is actually made by my friends Patrick and Michelle that own Leather by Dragonfly. So you guys have seen the shop apron that I've had. I've had 2 different shop aprons over the years. Then they came out with the Sedgeley, and they actually have 3 different models. I'll just show them to you all right here, all of which I use at some point in some capacity or another. So this right here is the Sedgeley. It is essentially a pouch that you can hold whatever tools that you need to be using for any particular project. Have some magnets on the side. It's really great. Then they made this smaller pouch version, which is just a pouch. So this is a great complement to this. Let's say you're wearing it on one hip, you've got this one on the other side. Maybe you're working with dominoes and you want to have those dominoes nearby and handy. You can use this. Sometimes if I'm doing electrical work and I want to put like the caps, the wire nuts inside of a pouch, so I just have them readily accessible. Maybe my electrical tester, that kind of stuff. It's nice. It's just a pouch, right? But then this one right here is their newest edition, and this is what I actually end up wearing the majority of the time now. Now, I want to talk about that briefly. So this is the Wingman. It does come with a clip for your tape measure, and it comes with a center pouch that in this case fits my delve square. I carry my Polini ruler, and I carry a Pica pencil. Now, the pencil and the Polini ruler are not part of this. The delve actually is. I'll talk about that here in just a moment. But what I've started to realize, the more that I am out here in the shop and I'm working on things, personally for me, I'm starting to find that less is more. And while I do sometimes miss the benefits of the apron in not only a safety perspective, but also just keeping dust and debris and stuff off of me, I just find that I keep reaching for these because the things that I use on a daily basis, and I use a lot, are all in this pouch. A marking, a measuring, and another measuring that also has other capabilities as well, which we'll talk about, and then my tape measure. So this just clips right onto my side. It doesn't weigh a lot. It's really great. Again, another item that's under $100. I think that this is really well suited for somebody who may not think that they're ready to invest in an apron, but they do like the idea of having tools on them. Then this is a great option. This is also a great option. You're going to hold a little bit more, but I think that this is a really good way just to kind of get started. And like I said, this is what I'm primarily wearing now. As somebody who has all of them, I just really like this. It's sleek, it's thin, it doesn't get in the way, and it carries the things that I need most. It also does have a magnet here, so if you're using screws or small bits for, say, an impact or something like that, you can just plop them on that magnet. It's very strong. Great addition, and a great company on top of that. Very, very dear friends of mine. You'd definitely be supporting a small business, and they're just amazing. And Patrick is retired now, so you need to go help him out. Buy a mouse pad while you're there, actually. Mouse pads by Patrick. Anyway, so let's go on to the next item. The next item is something that I actually keep in there now. So I'll start this by saying I've actually started to not be as much of a Woodpeckers truther, and that's not to say that their tools are not amazing quality. I went through that phase where I had my red tool wall and I had all kinds of Woodpecker stuff. And what I ended up finding is that I think I was doing it more for the collection standpoint, which I think a lot of people watching this can probably relate, and just like the visual effect, in my videos to have that back there. But you've probably noticed for the last couple of years, I don't have that anymore. And you don't really see me using as many of them. I actually went through and purged a lot of the things that I had and gave to other woodworkers. I actually did a video a long time ago where I talked about my most used Woodpeckers tools, and the list is really, really small because I find that I just don't need it as much, right? The things that I thought I would be using it for, I don't use them for as much. The other thing that I would like to highlight is that in a lot of cases, I'm not using a lot of these measuring tools for actual measuring, right? If I'm using a straight edge, it's because I'm making sure something is flat, or a straight, long ruler. I'm not using it unless I'm trying to find center of something and I'm trying to find the distance out from center. They have stuff for that. Squares. I'm not using squares at this point to get a measurement, right? I have a tape measure. I have this. I have the Polini. Now, while this is a square, right, the Delve square, this is the 3.5-inch model, which is the one that I really like. It's the one that I use. It has a couple of features that I think are really great and I found very helpful. The first is that it has these different steps on it. You have a 3/8 inch step, you have a 1/2 inch step, and then you have a 1/4 inch step. So this is designed 1/2 inch this way, 1/4 inch this way, 1/4 inch here, 1/2 inch here. So it has a lot of different features for you to use to quickly set up tools if you were using that. Unfortunately, they do not make in the stainless steel, I believe, a metric version. But again, I'm not using this for particular measurements. What I'm using this for is to quickly transfer lines over the edge of something, to very quickly check square, to very quickly make a 45-degree reference. It's nice, it's small, it fits in the hand, it's really easy to manage and manipulate. And most of the markings that I make are all 3 inches or less from the edge. Like, that's what I need it for, which is why I reach for something like this so often. I have talked about this Polini ruler so much. I used to use what's called the Incra. Matter of fact, I don't know if I have one in my apron. Incra Tiny T. It was like the one thing that I reached for all the time. Same principles. Everything less than 3 inches, right? Or 75 millimeters for those of you that like metric. And then I got the Polini ruler. So I bought this at the Woodworking show like 2 or 3 years ago. I actually bought this at the Woodworking show this year in January. This is actually starting to replace me using this as much as I used it. I still absolutely love this. I think this is invaluable, specifically the 6-inch model. I do not use the other ones unless I'm trying to transfer a line in the center of a board or something like that. If there were 2 items from Woodpeckers that I would recommend and I think would be useful to everybody, it would be the Delve and, like I've already mentioned before, the Polini. I'm not technically including this one inside of this, however, talking about both of them. Both of these I think you would find incredibly useful for your everyday woodworking. Now, next I wanted to do something from a safety perspective, and this is a brand that I haven't until recently started using some of their stuff. I've got like the resaw fence for my bandsaw, but it's Bow Products, and they make a line of really helpful tools, and I'm really starting to enjoy using them. I'm not a big push stick guy. I never have been. I know that that's probably going to surprise some people, seeing as how like push sticks are there for safety. And I've talked about this before. I'm an advocate for doing what you are actually comfortable with, because if you're comfortable with it, it's going to be much more safer than trying to do something that you're not comfortable with. Example of that is, you know, I see a lot of people that are using 2 push pads or push stick pads, the whatever, you know what I'm talking about. I've talked about them before on this, you know, on the jointer, or using both of them on a router table. And that's fine. I'm not criticizing anybody for doing what you think is the most safe and most comfortable. I'm just not one of those people. And I try to do things while it might seem unsafe to some other people. I actually find I have more control, so therefore I feel as though it is safer. That's something that I feel unfortunately gets lost in translation a lot on social media, is that, you know, somebody sees you do something that the way that you're doing it is not the way that they were taught 20 years ago, and they think that you're crazy and you're a psychopath, right? So welcome to YouTube. But this is a push stick that I actually find myself using a lot, mainly because, and I can't even remember where I got this. I feel like I got this, it was like one of the door prizes at an event I went to. It may have been the one that I went to, the Maker's Ultimate Challenge. And since I got it, I've been using it a lot. And what I really like about it is it has these replaceable foam heads, so you can actually flip this one around. So, you know, if this comes in contact with the blade, it's just going to cut it and you just replace it. And you're not having to cut new ones all the time. So both other products, definitely check them out. I'm only talking about this in particular, right? But you will see some other ones coming soon, because they actually make a really cool fence for the Festool, fence extender for the Festool table saw. And I'm very intrigued to try that, because I think that that's kind of a cool idea. Anyway, both other products, push stick, it's really great, feels comfortable, lightweight, and, you know, adds a little bit of safety. Under $100. Number 9, talked about these before, and I cannot talk about them enough, iGauging setup blocks. Now, there are other brands out there that do make these, and they're essentially exactly the same thing. They're hunks of aluminum, but they cost 4 times as more. I don't think that's necessary unless you are just addicted to that color in particular. These are from iGauging. These are, if I can open it, I didn't go to the gym today. These are black, and these ones are blue, right? So, you know, sorry if you like other colors, but here's the deal. These are really, really helpful. I have a metric set and I have an imperial set. I like to have both because I still use both. But what is so great about these is that there are so many uses. I can set the fence distance from my blade accurately. I can set the height of a router bit. I can set the amount that I want to resaw on the bandsaw. I can use these as particular spacers to get repeat cuts. There's so many things that you can do for them, and I reach for them all the time. And what I really like about them is, let me read you just on the metric ones, all the different measurements that it comes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5, 7, 8, 10, 12.5, 16.5, 19, 20, and then 25 by 50 by 75, okay? What's really good about these is that, okay, I need 15. Okay, well, I can pick and choose these blocks, stack them together, and then get whatever measurement I need if I don't have the block. So it's really endless possibilities in terms of like combinations that you can do or how you can make them. This is just one of those things that it's just very helpful to have, and it's very nice to keep around. And if you had one of each of these sets, maybe you don't care about metric, right? Let's just say that you care primarily about imperial. You buy one imperial set of this and you don't need any other setup blocks or gauges. You can just use these. This will do everything for you. There are some other really cool tools out there and options to set things like blade height or the distance of the fence. Jessam makes a really, really cool one that's kind of an all-in-one and has a great locking feature. But those are a little bit limited as to what you can do, right? Great product, but a little bit limited as what you can do is where you can utilize these for lots of different things. So strongly encourage you to pick up one of these sets if you don't already have one. Setup blocks. They're worth it. And now this next thing is actually something that I recently picked up, but I've used them many times in the past, and I just wish I would have gotten one of these sooner, especially as somebody that films. And finds instances where they need lights. But more importantly, I started doing a lot more stuff in my home. And anytime you're doing stuff in the home, especially when you're turning off electrical, it's really useful to have a light. The light is not the thing that I want to talk about. So this is just a rechargeable light. This one is in particular is from Festool. Tons of companies make them. I can position this wherever I want to and utilize it, as long as I have a method on attaching it to whatever I want to attach it. And so I finally ended up getting one of these, but not just for the light, but also for filming purposes, anything magnetic in my shop. If I'm trying to get a really cool, tight shot, I can actually utilize this and connect, say, a camera to it. But what I do find myself using it more and more now is for stuff inside of the house. And this just holds a typical 1/4-20. It just screws into the bottom of the light. Whatever light you have, it probably would attach to if it's that size. And it's just like a camera swivel. You know, I just loosen it, position the light in whatever I want to position it. And now if I have something metal nearby, I can attach it, make sure it's tightened. I can attach this and I can point it in whatever direction I need to point the light. And it really is just super handy. And then on top of that, this one in particular actually comes with this metal base plate. So let's say that you were down in the basement and you have, you know, open rafters. You could just screw this into the rafter and now you have a metal plate to attach the magnet to. Let's try to do this without pinching my finger in between them. Okay, I'll just drop it on. It's very, very strong, super helpful. And I mean, there's instances where it would probably be helpful inside of your own shop. Let's say you're working on something and the lighting underneath is really bad and you need to see a little bit better. You could plop this on your assembly table or whatever metal mounting bracket, and it comes in really handy. So again, under $100, something small. This is a really, really nice addition, especially if you start doing a lot more stuff in the house. Matter of fact, I just had to change my sump pump the other day and had hardly any light where I was, and then I remembered, hey, I have that mount, and I put it downstairs, put it right into the hole where the sump pump was on, and it was absolutely great. Really great addition, and just really helpful, super helpful. So hopefully you guys found these items entertaining, and maybe some of them will be on your list, or got all that Christmas money burning a hole in your pocket. Here's some things that aren't super expensive. And I'll see you in the next video where I talk about a whole bunch of really expensive stuff. Have a great day.